Link, everyone's favorite pointy-eared, endlessly reincarnated Hylian hero. Sometimes he's a brave, noble master swordsman, and other times he's way over-reliant on other characters. Today, we're gonna look at Link's character in every mainline Legend of Zelda game and rank him from worthless to elite. Starting with the OG Legend of Zelda, we get a pretty great, albeit standard, version of Link. Zelda splits the Triforce of Wisdom into 8 pieces, scatters them across Hyrule, and it's up to Link to track him down, complete treacherous dungeons, and defeat all kinds of monsters, including Boar Form Ganon, which earns him the Triforce of Power. Ganon's reduced to ashes, and Link saves Hyrule pretty much all on his own. Now, there weren't as many things working against him as there will be in future games, but the day needed saving, and Link got the job done here. Despite this game being kind of the black sheep of the Zelda series, it's one of Link's most impressive showings. First off, it's named after Link for once, which pretty much seals its spot in Elite right there, but Link seems to be much more tied to the plot than normal. Instead of just being a random kid, his hand glows with Hyrule's emblem, and it opens a sealed vault containing the original Princess Zelda, and I guess that means he's the chosen one or something. There's also these ancient scripts that only future kings of Hyrule can read, and wouldn't you know it, they're legible to Link. So what happens when he becomes the king? Does it just become a blur because he's no longer a future king? Or same formula as last time to save the day. Go to dungeon, slay a beast, rinse and repeat until the great palace doors open, and Link has to fight the Thunderbird, an incredibly tough boss. And that's followed by an even cooler one versus his shadow, Dark Link. Beating an equally skilled embodiment of himself is a pretty impressive feat, and earns him the final piece of the Triforce and the ability to wake up Zelda. The only thing that goes against this game's Link is the fact that Ganon's not the one causing mischief. Instead, his troops are trying to kill Link so they can spread his blood on Ganon's ashes to revive him. That is dark. Now, the fact that his blood holds so much power, and that he's not a nobody who trained hard to become the hero he is today, kinda takes away from his accomplishments. So yeah, despite the namesake, it's gotta be lowered to just a worthy hero. Link is single-handedly responsible for pretty much everything good that happens in this game's story. Ganon captures all the sages, including Zelda, right at the start, and if it weren't for Link, the Dark World would have been unsealed right then and there. Now, she eventually does get recaptured and opens the seal, but he buys himself time to dig up the Master Sword and prepare for the obstacles to come in the Dark World. He frees the 7 sages from the Dark World dungeons, defeats a Ganon for real, and that reveals the true mastermind behind everything. Shocker, Ganon, who has the power of the full Triforce on his side for their final battle. This is arguably the strongest Ganon that Link ever fights, and the fact that he beats them all by himself and uses the Triforce afterwards to restore Hyrule to its former glory makes this one hell of an easy. The plot in this one is a little weird. It has Link taking to the waters to leave Hyrule for a while, but a bad storm hits and leaves him stranded at sea. He goes on a whole ass adventure out there, but at the end, it's revealed to be this Inception thing, where it's a dream within a dream from this windfish guy, and I honestly don't know. But last time I checked, the actions in your dreams don't have real-world consequences, so worthless. Ocarina of Time is the most iconic Legend of Zelda game and has one of Link's most heroic and capable looks in the entire series. And the fact that him being sealed away for 7 years caused Hyrule to absolutely crumble only further solidifies his importance to everything. He's the one destined to yield the Master Sword and slay the evil Ganondorf once and for all, but not really. The final battles against Ganon are incredible, and he overcomes a lot of adversity to win. But the biggest reason I'm so high on this Link is because of his impact on the series moving forward. Like I said, this is the magnum opus of the Zelda franchise for a lot of people, but it's also where the timeline splits, meaning his actions in this game directly impact the way the remainder of the game series plays out, and that alone gives this a comfortable spot in Elite. This is the same incarnation of Link from Ocarina of Time, but now he's dead, so no, but that theory does have some weight to it, and I don't know whether or not it should affect the ranking. I think all the evidence is there to believe this game is just his purgatory, and none of the events are actually real, but since nothing is confirmed, we'll base the ranking on what he does in this maybe real story. Link gets clowned on by Skull Kid, falls down a giant chasm, and ends up in Termina, where the moon's about to crash into the planet, and Link has 3 days that he has to keep reliving to stop that from happening. The whole game is very dark and weird, but it's clear Link's going through some deep internal shit, which he overcomes on top of a cataclysmic world-ending threat. He starts off as a lonely, bottom-of-the-barrel Deku scrub, and works his way back to his glorious Hylian self, who uses all these cool mask powers to do things that were previously impossible. It's an excellent Link portrayal, but I'm gonna keep it just out of Elite because A, it's not even this version of Link's greatest adventure, and B, like I said before, it may not have actually happened. Both Oracle games feature a main antagonist that's not Ganon. In Oracle of Ages, it's Varan, and in Oracle of Seasons, it's General Onyx. And neither of these guys are anything close to a Ganon-level threat. Varan's screwing with the flow of time, and Onyx is messing with the weather, and Link's only able to restore the natural order by using the Harp of Ages and Rod of Seasons respectively. Normally, I'd see an over-reliance on tools like this to be a downside, but what, is he supposed to flail his arms, do a fucking rain dance to make spring come early? I get it, but what does hurt its case is that as standalone games, they feature an incredibly lackluster final act. You beat up either Varan or Onyx, and while not an impressive foe for this series, it's a solid victory for Link, but the game basically gives you the finger afterwards with a bad ending, and the only way you can defeat the true villain is by playing through the other game and completing the linked ending. Are you kidding me? So if you're a kid that got this game for Christmas, it spits in your face for not buying another full-price game just to fight a bonus boss or two. It's stupid. Now for Link, it finally has him fighting a more genuine foe in the Twinrova sisters, who want to pull a Zelda 2 again and revive Ganon, and they do. Problem is, they don't do it properly, and he comes back as a brain-dead beast. So Link defeating that in a bonus ending, as opposed to a literal evil mastermind, docks him a good bit, but he does save the day, so... This is a bonus game in the GBA port of Link to the Past, so right there it's already not looking good. At the start, he just watches Vaati yoink Zelda and take her away, and decides to split his bipolar ass into 4 colorful shards. It's a super short game, Vaati's the main antagonist, and each Link's only doing a quarter of the work, so it's gotta go down in worthless. This version of Link is one of my personal favorites, but it's definitely not one of his strongest looks. At the beginning, he's wearing pajamas, living with grandma out in the middle of the ocean, but by the end, he seals away the Demon King. Quite the turnaround. He does commit a ton of blunders throughout the game though, most notably pulling out the Master Sword too early, and in turn, removing all the restraints on Ganon's power. Now he didn't know that, but it makes their situation a lot worse regardless. When he first encounters Ganon, he gets smacked around like nothing, and needs these bird guys to swoop in and rescue him in Tetra. Not a great look, but he does go on to find the Triforce of Courage, power up the Master Sword, and face off against Ganon for one final battle. Alrighty then. So Link screws up again, and if Ganon lays a finger on the Triforce, it's all over, and somehow the king just fucking appears and wishes for them to win. And with that, he defeats Ganon with the help of Zelda, plunges the Master Sword through his forehead, and turns him to stone. A killer finishing move, but he hardly deserves it. And after that, he and Zelda establish a new kingdom of Hyrule that we go on to see in Zelda Spirit Tracks. So yeah, he does a lot of great things, but choking it all the way until the end and letting Ganon have the full Triforce is kinda awful. And without help from the king and Zelda, he couldn't have done it, so he's going down and needs some help. This game's story is definitely toned down compared to other Zelda games. It really feels more like a Mario plot. Princess is in trouble, kingdom's in danger, and Hero teams up with Hat to save the day. Odyssey ripped off the Minish cap. No, but the story does feel more lighthearted than usual, being a handheld Zelda with no Ganon in sight, no Triforce, and no Master Sword. Instead, we get Link's new hat, Eslo, who helps him a good bit throughout his quest, giving him more crucial guidance than Navi ever could, and shrinking him down to access all new terrain. He's super clutch, and that amount of support for Link, with the more tame conflict, makes this kind of a subpar Link. This game brings back the 4 Links premise, and that won't be great for the ranking, but everything else significantly ups the ante from the last one. For starters, it's a full game now, and it features a brand new and menacing incarnation of Ganon. That dude Vaati, you know, the main bad guy in a couple of those previous games, well, he's back for this one as one of Ganon's pawns, in addition to Shadow Link. So having to defeat 3 capable villains makes it a 4v3, which more than doubles the amount of work per Link compared to last time. I want to put him in Saves the Day tier, but that amount of help doesn't leave me much leeway. This Link is honestly the most challenging one to place. On one hand, he defeats 2 capable villains and fights an all-time powerful Ganondorf, but he's also like a wolf for half the game, so like, I don't know. He gets snatched by a shadow beast in the beginning of the game and gets pulled into the Twilight Realm, turned into a wolf, and locked away, and if it weren't for Midna rescuing him, he would have just rotted down there. And Midna helps him all throughout the story. The adventure wouldn't be possible without her. And to make it worse for Link, where most incarnations have him start as some nobody, this game's version was born with the Triforce of Courage and didn't have to go out and earn it. It's also heavily implied that he's related to the legendary Hero of Time, the Link from Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, and he even gets trained by his spirit through the hero Shade, which is an advantage no other Link really gets, and it should make him an all-time great, but still needing so much help in spite of that really hurts his case. The biggest thing this Link has going for him is the tremendously powerful Ganondorf he defeats. Dark Beast Ganon is a monster. So strong that he needs Midna to finish him off, but even in the phase after that, he has Zelda shooting the light arrows to knock Ganon off his horse. Dude, you couldn't shoot those yourself? Now, this final sword duel between Link and Ganondorf is admittedly really freaking cool and a great look for him, but to get to that point, he needed two other powerful characters to step in and help. Maybe that's just a testament to how strong Ganon is here, but I can't in good faith put him any higher than needs some help tier. This is the same Link from Wind Waker, but this time the stakes are way lower. Him and Zelda are exploring the high seas and encounter a ghost ship, which somehow kidnaps her, and when he tries to hop aboard and see what's up, he can't do a f***ing pull-up and falls into the water. He washes ashore somewhere, meets a ferry, and they set out to save Zelda. Like Minish Cap, this game doesn't have many of the Zelda staples. You're not even in Hyrule. Instead, you're fighting for the world of the ocean.
Who the hell cares?
To explore the ocean-covered world, Link relies on Captain Linebeck and his ship to carry him place to place, so without him, Link wouldn't be doing any adventuring. And on top of it all, the main antagonist is a demon named Bellum, some squid-looking nobody that Link defeats handedly. It's not his worst portrayal, but he could have prevented all of this from happening if he just doesn't lose his grip here. A lesser threat and more reliance on others makes this a self-explanatory need some help. Some evil elf dude named Chancellor Cole ambushes him, Zelda, and Alfonso, and he tries to protect Zelda, and she gets unalived into a ghost that only Link can see. The two travel together for the entire game, and she's helping Link a ton, both as a ghost and once she's returned to normal. The game does feature a form of Ganon too, since he possesses the Chancellor's body, but Link and Zelda are basically 50-50 contributors, so he won't get too much credit for this adventure, especially after that. Needs some help. Link in Skyward Sword is the OG, meaning every Link after this branches out in some way from this guy. The game takes place before Ganon was even created, with the main bad guy being pure hatred in the form of Demise, the true Demon King. He was sealed away by the goddess Hylia eons ago, but as he reawakens to wreak havoc this time, Link forges the Master Sword and uses it to single-handedly slay both Jarahim and Demise. But as he kills Demise, he curses reality by claiming his return is inevitable and will happen again and again to clash with the blood of the goddess and the spirit of the hero, setting up every other Zelda, Link, and Ganon love triangle in the series. So since he crafted the Master Sword and defeated the root of all evil, this is a pretty easy elite. Also, this version of Link and Zelda's relationship is the most fleshed out in the entire series, and gives Link more personality than we've ever really seen before, which is a nice bonus. This game's premise is basically a funkier version of Link to the Past. Hyrule and Lorule are both in danger, but this time the bad guy's turning everyone into paintings, and Link gains the ability to merge into walls, which is actually an awesome gimmick that's used really well throughout the game. He rescues the 7 sages from their painting purgatory, obtains the Master Sword, and confronts Yuga, this game's main enemy, who just achieved his goal of resurrecting Ganon and merging with him to form Ganon, who also has 2 pieces of the Triforce on his side. Link has just the Triforce of Courage, and using the Bow of Light the sages gave him, he manages to defeat the 2. It's not as lopsided of a fight as it was in Link to the Past, since he has at least 1 piece of the Triforce, but Yuga and Ganon joining forces to form one foe feels super climactic and intimidating as hell. He works mostly solo and overcomes a more than competent threat, but it feels an awful lot like a previous adventure. Still, he's getting credit as a very worthy hero. Unlike the Four Swords Link, this group only has 3 members, and each of them is a completely individual person, so you can't even argue it's still one spirit doing everything. It's 3 dudes, and it's a bad look to start, but you wanna know what the main conflict is? The Princess of Hytopia, some new kingdom, gets cursed by a witch to only wear one ugly dress forever. And how many links does it take to solve a wardrobe malfunction? Too many. Worthless. Gameplay-wise, this Link is the cream of the crop, but story-wise, he leaves a lot to be desired. First off, it's an open-world Link, so he has more freedom and versatility in his moveset than ever before, and all the runes he has access to make him feel OP as all hell. He can spawn ice platforms in the sea and freeze giant boulders to launch a completely new direction. And he hasn't been able to manipulate the physical world to this extent ever, and it makes him seem elite. But the game starts with him waking up to a completely decimated Hyrule, and the story involves him picking up the pieces trying to restore it while also trying to piece together his own memory. Because yeah, he was asleep for the 100 years leading up to this game. And what was happening during those honk shoes? Well, Zelda was actively holding Calamity Ganon at bay the entire time. And even when he finally takes on Ganon, the Divine Beasts are doing a ton to weaken him, and Link's just crossing the T's and dotting the I's. No, he's still contributing a lot, but it doesn't make up for his century-long slumber in my opinion, but he still saves the day, and I'll leave it at that. Much like Breath of the Wild, this time around Zelda does most of the heavy lifting. If you thought 100 years of self-sacrifice was long enough before, you might want to sit down, because after she's sent into the past in the intro, she notices the weakened state of the Master Sword, attempts to fix it, and realizes the only way to fully restore it and keep it unharmed for Link to use against Ganon is to swallow it and become a fucking dragon. I wish I were kidding. And she safeguards it for guess how long? Just guess how long. 10,000 years. And without doing that, Link wouldn't have had a chance against Ganon. She's the MVP in this story, and while Link has godlike powers like he does in Breath of the Wild, including some new ones that are even more useful, it's heavily overshadowed by Zelda's sacrifice. Still though, he's the one thrown in the one-on-one with Ganondorf, not Zelda, and being able to outduel the Demon King is impressive as fuck. It'll go in the same tier as Breath of the Wild. He gets it done, but benefits a ton from his friends. This is the one Zelda game where Link's not the main protagonist, so I don't think anyone's got a problem with Link getting a nice and easy worthless for this one. And there you have it.